And I'm streaming. I'm alive. I'm testing live. I'm alive. I was wondering if you guys could hear me. Can you hear me? Was that song Tommy used to sing? Can you touch me? Can you hear me? Okay, so this is a test coming from the motel room. A little earlier, I was showing you my bedroom, and you all seen how that is. I've been in the motel room just a little bit too long, you know what I mean? Hey everyone, can you hear everything? I can't tell because I can't monitor or anything like that. I'm using a little webcam, and so I'm just like seeing if it'll work, and I could go live here anytime, any room. I'm totally wireless right now on this big old computer that I have that I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna give you a tour of my computer here. Cool, man. 5x5, huh? 5x5. Got my wife behind me. She's doing something, like she's gonna hear an Elvis thing pretty soon. Some kind of live Elvis thing. So she's on the laptop. Oh yeah, you could see her. Yeah. Say hi. No, I'm blocking her out. I kind of move myself so I'm blocking her out so she's not like distracting everyone. Okay, so I wanted to show you guys what you guys have helped me get. Besides it running on wireless right now and totally green and hopefully a really good uh, picture and sound quality, even coming from a little camera. I'm pretty sure it's a stereo on the camera, so I'm pretty sure the sound is pretty darn good. So I'm going to show you this computer, and first I got to tell you, it isn't the computer case is not brand new, and I probably would never get a brand new one unless I could find one like this one, because it has some little gadgets that I like personally. Especially if you're always inside of your computer and working on it all the time, there's these cool things on this computer. It's a real squatchy computer, okay? Hello, Roland and Connie and Brown Dwarf and Winter Walker and Cold Warrior and Arlo. What's up, my friend? Ruthann, Kent Martin. You guys, I love you guys. You guys rock. I hope you're having a great Saturday. So far, I'm enjoying the heck out of myself. I did like strain myself a little bit on that desk, but now that's all moved. Everything else is cake, you know, that I think it's going to be cake. Okay, so I'm going to start this little tour. So I'm going to grab this camera, if I can grab this camera, and I'm going to bring it over here, and I'm going to show you. Maybe I ought to move it over here to this live. This is the computer. Okay. So this is the computer, and it's old. Alright. And it's a Cooler Master 1000. But what I like about it is this right here. First, I like this. I like that. It's wireless. I can't tell if I'm looking at it correctly. Let's see. It's wireless. I hope I'm not making you guys dizzy. I'm trying to figure out how this camera works. See the little antennas right there? Let's see if I can light them up real good. That's antennas making it wireless. Okay, and this is the little gadget that I like right here. just hit this little switch right here, and then it opens it up, right? I just popped that, and now the computer's open so you can see inside of it. Did you see how easy that was? And then it closes. See, I just snapped it shut. Okay, now do that again. And then I'm going to pull off the side. And I'm going to show you guys that it's breathing. Can you see it breathing? Oh, can't see it breathing? Well, darn. I guess I'm going to have to add some more LEDs so that you guys could see it actually breathing. I thought it was brighter than that. Oh well. But that's it. And I got a water cooler on there. You can see that. That's a water cooler instead of a fan. And then you follow these little hoses around, and there's a radiator like a car. So it's all water cooled.
Smells good.
And it really runs really, really good. Okay, let me put this back. Sorry about the noise. Let's see. Oh. Well, it was working. I don't know what I did. Well, gee. Well, I had it working better. I guess I should have never messed with it. I thought about it has a little lip on it so that I can do that better. Okay, so that didn't work out as well as I thought it was going to work out. It's probably going to be a better deal if I take the camera and then record it with a camcorder, because it seems that didn't do kind of, you know, how I wanted it to go. But the test is working. I hoped that the whole thing would work. I wasn't really sure if it was going to. Like, just quickly threw the camera down, threw the computer down, threw the camera on top of the monitor, and opened the curtain so there's light, and away we went, just to see that if I could do something in the motel room. I am sweating a little bit. I put the door on, at least the back door, and I'm done for today as far as like working on any kind of room or anything else. So I thought I would get on and chat with you guys, talk a little bit about what's going on, about like, we all know now that Art Bell passed away. There is some things I wanted to talk about, and it's what's going on in the government right now. You guys all heard they fired off the missiles. I don't know how many of you look up Q, called QAnon. He actually was saying that he's been calling April Showers Month, and it was because I have a feeling they knew they were gonna, make it rain over there with missiles. and I don't think they're done. I'm not sure what Russia's going to do. I kind of got the impression that Russia was our friend and was rolling over on Hillary. But what I am sure of is a lot of the people in the NSA, the CIA, and stuff like that, they are like dropping a dime on the bad guys. And I think they were good guys all along. But I don't know if any of you have ever worked at a place and you hated it. You hated the boss, you hated what they make you do, but you been there long enough where you don't want to jeopardize your retirement. The money's good. Everything about the job is great except for what they make you do. And I have a feeling our government has been like that for man, decades. It wasn't Obama. It wasn't the two Bushes. I mean, I think it went way back. I think it actually started when they let the Federal Reserve in, and our money became monopoly money, you know. And then for some reason, they have an agenda, and it's a worldwide agenda, and they bought off everyone at the top. So you guys are going to start seeing a lot of people going down, right? I mean, if any of you have aspirations to be in the CIA or the FBI or a congressperson or work for a congressperson in the government, even local, get ready because there's going to be a bunch of job openings. You could take that to the bank. There's going to be some job openings because I think America's tired of uh, the these people that we put in there, and then they hire people, and they all are not working for us, right? The whole thing was set up for them to work for us, and they have not been working for us. That's all changing. I'm not really a big Trump fan, but I am a big bull in the China shop fan. I am a big fan of that. Anything that knocks out these freaking status quo, the way it is. What is the saying? If you always do what you always did, you always get what you always got. And that's what we've been doing. And finally, we did something different. So if you really want to get something different, then you do something different and you get a different outcome, right? And it might be that it isn't the best outcome in the whole world, or it wasn't the best person, but for the job, it's the best person. And he's not perfect, right? Nobody's perfect. I mean, right now, they want him so bad, they're digging everywhere. They're even breaking laws to dig up trash on him. And if you can, one of the things that Art Bell said in one of his last posts a couple days ago was if you dig deep enough and far enough on someone, you'll find something, right? You'll find something. They shouldn't be allowed to do that. They should they should be actually going after the people that we know has been deleting their emails and bashing hard drives and taking money from people. I mean, I have a feeling, I trust that that is what's going on, and I trust that we are going to see some of that stuff happening, and I'm kind of glad to see it happening. I don't like seeing our country be all in turmoil, but if it means a better outcome or a different outcome than what we've been getting, which is screwed, I mean, everybody's been getting screwed, then I'm all for the changes. And so it might hurt for a little bit or for a minute, we might be uncomfortable a little while, but it took a little while to get in the hole we're in, right? So it might take a little while to get out of the hole we're in. And we didn't put ourselves in that hole, they put us in that hole. Those guys are the bad guys. They're the ones that robbed the Social Security. They're the ones that put their interest above our interests when they were hired and put in place to do their interest. I mean, art, they work for us, not for them. So that's how I feel about that. And I don't like seeing war, but only if this is what it takes to get our country back on track, then he's not the only president that fired off missiles. Okay, like every one of them did. I remember Obama. They showed him sitting in his little room looking at monitors, and they were had the war on, man. Bush, both Bushes. I mean, everybody has fired off missiles. He's no different, and I don't think he really wanted to fire those missiles off. I think he was put in that position and he didn't like it, but he's not an indecisive person. When he got put in the position, this is the only thing he had, he pulls the trigger. That's the difference between a lot of people and this guy Trump. He's not afraid to pull the trigger on, in anything, in business, in his ideals of what might put America back to the way it should be. I mean, he pulls the trigger. So I'm I support people that pull triggers. I'm a pull the trigger guy. I don't get indecisive and wallow around. Sometimes I pay for pulling the trigger and I made a bad decision, but hey, that happens to everybody.
I didn't know you could.
Yeah, it is sanctioned by France and the UK, and I'm sure there would have been more in there, only they didn't need more. You know what I mean? Like that was all they needed, and hopefully they sent a really good message to these cretins that kill their own people, just like the ones that do these false flags around the United States. You know what I mean? Like those are cretins too. Like I call myself a heathen, but these are real heathens, right? They have no remorse, they have no feelings. It really is sad that our world is like that now. I don't know where it went wrong, but I sure am hoping and praying that it goes back, or that we get it back. And I hope it doesn't take a long time. But good to see you guys. Um, I've been missing everything. I've been like, I passed 2 kidney stones, and then all of a sudden I guess my kidneys weren't working so well, so I was swelling up like a big balloon. My fingers are all fat, still fat. My ankles are down. I've been laying around with my feet up to bring the swelling down. And then my regular, I mean, this is just added stuff. Then the regular pain in the leg and all that I deal with daily. So when you add all that on, it causes stress. So then that causes the heart attacks. And then you have to have this. You know, so it's been layers of problems and I've been dealing with, but I think I got it. It looks like I'm having some problems even though I'm green. Let's see. It looks like I should turn off some. Looks like I need to turn off some things that what pop-ups. Some pop-ups are trying to knock me off. Pretty funny. Well, you guys, is there any questions you have? I want to ask for everybody's prayers for me and my family, and that we got. I'm doing it again. I have no idea why. Oh, I'm losing my signal. Oh well. Yeah, it seems that my wireless. I stuck the router in a corner. It used to be sitting way up, and I set it in a corner, and I'm on the whole other side of the house than the router. So I may have a little bit of problems there. So real quick, yeah, man, I want you to be a guest on my show, Brown Dwarf. You guys want everybody that wants Brown Dwarf to be a guest on my show, put a comment down there and say yes, Brown Dwarf, because he's one of the guys I want to interview. He has some cool videos. I love it. But I want you guys all to pray for me, pray for my health and everything. I will return the prayers back. I'll pray for all of you, whether you pray or not. But I'll be praying for all of you as we also pray for Art Bell's family and his little baby. Probably he has one like a little over a year old maybe, and his little daughter. So keep me in your prayers. If you have any specific prayer requests, go ahead and put that in the comments below. I'm sorry that that I haven't been around. I'm sorry that I'm not like all set up like I want to be set up. Um, give it give me some time and I'll have it all set up, and we'll do this the right way and get everything working. I'm looking forward. The room I'm in right now is actually going to be my home, my permanent video home. So once I get done with that other room, all this moves out and goes in there, and then I'll be sleeping in my bedroom. I'll be out of the motel room. I could quit calling this a motel room and start calling it a studio or something. I actually have been talking with Jeffrey recently, Jeffrey Gonzalez. I mean, there's no bad blood between us, really. It was business, you know. It's business. Actually, what I just went through this week, um, that can't happen when when you have a schedule for TV like he's doing. And you just can't, like, I can't get sick. I can't have problems. I can't go in the hospital. I can't, you know what I mean? Like, it's business. It's just business. Besides, him being Jeffrey, he's hard to deal with sometimes, and he can be a butthead, and he knows it. He knows he is. He's probably laughs when he hears me say that, but it doesn't mean that he isn't a really good guy inside. He is. He's a real family man. He loves his kids. He takes care of his family, and his friends very well. He takes care of them. So, I mean, sometimes he's a butthead, but most of the time he's a really bang up, smack dab good guy, like, and so he means well, and he has some goals. He has lofty goals of television and, all that. And I wish him well on that, and so I've been talking with him and opening up the channels and uh, seeing where, because I still feel like part of the team, and a lot of the guys, besides Jeffrey, he sits there and talks like he's the only guy, but really, that's not really the case. I mean, there's another team, there's Danny and others that go out squatching and helping him with this with the show, like peripherally when he goes out, researching and stuff like that. But when it comes to being in the studio, it's all him pretty much. But I heard that he has some guys helping him to be on TV, that's his goal, and that's where I couldn't be that, like I couldn't have a heart attack and sit out for a week, or I couldn't uh, have a kidney stone take a week to drop out. Couldn't do that. Not when you have a TV schedule, especially when you're spending as much money as he does. It wastes his money and his time, and I don't want to be that guy that did that to him. So there you go on that. Let's see. I am going to get Heidi Hollis. I haven't talked to her yet about it, but I know she will. I mean, I haven't chatted with her in probably a couple of months, but me and Heidi are tight. And if she has the time, well, I'll have to figure out when she has the time. She is so busy. She holds down a job, a regular job, and then I think she's some kind of a counselor, like a job counselor. And then she also does her own show, and then she co-hosts like a couple of shows. So getting her is going to be the hard part, finding a day. But I'm sure I could find a day, and find a day any day, and get her in live. I'm positive that we can. Okay, let me see. And she's smoking hot, yeah. She's really nice though. She has a really good heart. I know she's going to take this Art Bell thing kind of hard because we picked up Heidi and had her in the Paranormal Central show for, I don't know, a year, and where Heidi brought in the news, and that was during the Art Bell thing is when we first picked her up. So we've been working with Heidi for, I don't know, 3 years, something like that. And she's really a good person, and I love her a lot, and I pray for her a lot too. She has problems also, just like me, and she works through them just like I am, and I really respect her for that. It's hard when you have physical disabilities that stop you from having a regular life like everyone else does, and you still push through the pain, you push through the problems, and you still try to keep doing what you're doing despite your body trying to knock you back, and I respect anyone that's like that. I'm sure there's a ton of you out there listening right now that have the same, you have things wrong with you, and it complicates your life, just remember, if it doesn't kill you, you can overcome it. Pain only lasts, like serious hard pain won't last forever. I mean, you still might be in pain, but that real serious pain that'll knock you out for a little while. The one thing that I found in life is, the one thing that I could count on is change. Everything changes. Nothing stays the same. So the one constant in my life is change. It sounds weird, but that, if you keep that in your mind when you get knocked back, and don't let what's knocking you down keep you down, because in a day or so all that'll change, right? All that'll change. I try to remember that, like with dealing with people, like even Jeffrey or my family, or other people. Um, for a minute, I might be mad, so I try not to say anything because I'll get over it. You know what I mean? Like, my feelings are gonna change, my anger is gonna change. I'll be happy tomorrow. So always remember that. That's something that always to remember. And one of the other things that motivates me is I I feel like if I don't keep going and pushing, then the next step for me is another step, right? But if I quit stepping, then pretty soon I'm sitting too much, and then pretty soon I won't be able to stand up to step. So I keep on stepping, keep on pushing. I know it isn't like up to everybody's standards, like a regular healthy person, but to me, every step is a big accomplishment. I mean, working my way out of a wheelchair. I was in a wheelchair for like 3 years. I could have just stayed in it. But that's not me. The chair can't hold me down. Right?
Mandy's recording it though. I just thought I would check it out.
It seems life's going all around me. Right on, bro. I have to get set up for, I'm going to try to set up somewhere like this. I just threw this together like really quick because my phone was like wobbling around and everything. And I just wanted to like set up something really fast. That way we could do this. And once I get everything to where I could take a call and put it through, I'll let you know. And it shouldn't be like maybe a week or two. I should have that, but I'm not sure. Don't hold me to that. But I know I have to set up a mixer or something to for the call to go through so that I can put it through the system. And I don't know where or how I'm going to do that at the moment. But I'm looking forward to it like crazy, man, like crazy. Okay, I'll tell her you said hi. I never met Art Bell person to person. I think one time we took a call from it with a like a Skype call through, but only it was through Keith Rowland. Mostly we talked through Keith, and he's a really good guy too. That guy, um, he's a really good friend of mine now, and at least I consider him a really good friend. He's I don't know what he's gonna do now though. I hopefully um, he continues on with the dark matter, digital dark matter network. I think that's so cool. I even thought about contacting him and seeing about doing something with him, like a little podcast once a week, and working with him on something like that, and not doing video for that part of it, right? And I don't know, if he has a place or if he's going to keep going. But I'm praying everything's going to be okay with him too. Like, I'm not just praying for Art Bell's family, I'm praying for his business and his friends and everybody that's feeling that loss. I did get to uh, chat with him via Facebook Messenger a few times, and we shared some pictures and stuff like that. We had a lot of the same interests, like ham radio, even though that was like in the 70s for me, and he still kept doing it. And then what I'm doing right now, we have the same thing. And then he loves kids, so you know, I got to at least do that with him a little bit. And it was always like wee hours, like 3 or 4 in the morning. I would be in pain. He would be in pain and couldn't sleep. And we would be up at the same time and wind up, able to communicate a little bit with him. And I'll miss that. I talk to a lot of people like that, believe it or not, that you guys would like trip out if you knew the people that I was messaging with all the time. I know that would blow you away. I guess like the Wells Fargo. See, you can refuse the right to service to anyone. Like if they don't want to do it, then they don't want to do it. What's going to happen is people that like guns. I'm going to tell you, we are the majority. Okay, the people that enjoy owning guns and shooting guns and keeping guns, we're the majority. See, the idiots haven't figured out that we're the majority. One of the reasons why China doesn't attack us or Russia doesn't just overrun our border or Mexico or anyone is because we're armed to the teeth, right? Not just our military, not just our National Guard or police force. I'm talking about citizens. They would be idiots, foolish to come across over here. I think Wells Fargo's cutting their own throat when they do a deal like that. Idiots, idiots. Like, there's way more of us than there is of. The only thing is we're not assertive. Like, we're starting to be, but we're like, we don't voice our opinion and try to force it down people's throats like these small minority of people. Like, if you check, it's not a lot of people doing it. It's these just a few loud, opinionated people that's trying to force us to believe the way they believe, and it never worked on me, and it probably doesn't work on any of you either. Man, it used to scare the you know what out of me, man. Art Bell used to scare the you know what out of me. I lived up in the hills on 20 acres, and we had a gate way out, you know, away from the house on the edge of the property, and I would have to get out and open the gate, and then get back in the car, drive through, get out, close the gate, lock the gate, and then drive home. And then I couldn't park like right by the front door either. And there was some nights, man, I didn't want to get out and open the gate or close the gate. And I ran to the front door, fumbling with my keys to get in because Art Bell had me pretty scared. Some of those late, I would get off at the casino about like 3 in the morning and be driving home listening to that and thinking, oh my God, it's dark outside. Got to get out and open the gate. Oh, geez. Scare the you know what out of you. Yeah, I miss living in the hills. I live in the flat. I'm a flatlander now. I was just figuring out 2003, I think it was, we moved into this house. So I've been out of the mountains since 2003. I moved into the mountains in, I think it was 1989 or 88, somewhere in there. So I lived up in the hills for, a good 20 years. Raised all my kids up in there, and they all graduated from the high school up there. It's the best place to raise kids because they can't hang out at the mall. They can't run around the neighborhood and get involved in whatever it is in the city they do that's too easy for them to get into. Yeah. Flatlander and left coaster, huh? Well, I think it's pretty much flat lands over there. I mean, you guys have what, the Appalachians and stuff like that, but they're nothing like the mountains here. Just look at the pictures of Yosemite, and you're looking at my backyard, and I'm getting all jazzed because camping season's almost here. You guys don't like not long. What is this? April, May. So like in a month or two, we're gonna be, say, almost 2 months. We're gonna be up with Adolf at Courtright Reservoir, camping out at the place where the aliens came down and messed with them. Maybe we can take those aliens out. Bring some of our guns, or a samurai sword or something. But I'm actually looking forward to this summer, not only to go to the mountains though, to go around the valley. Like Jeffrey was telling me that they opened the Avocado Lake. That was closed ever since Thanksgiving when we started tracking Bigfoot all around the river down there. And he said that they opened it, but they cleared it of all brush and everything. There's no place for a Bigfoot to hide. At night, though, they can hide behind a tree. There doesn't have to be anything to hide from. But only I think they close it at night also, so nobody's going in there. And then also there is another place just downriver from there that it was called the Ponds, where everybody would go fishing. The only thing is now, okay, they closed these ponds, right? Far as I know, everybody I know, that likes to fish, from the time I grew up, they would go to those ponds fishing, and it was private property, but only they made little throughways through the fence that you could go through to get to the ponds. Okay, now we're talking 40 years and probably longer that they were allowing access to the public to those ponds, right? Now, I had some property in the mountains, and before they sectioned off the land that we lived on, it had a trail going through there that people would bike and hike and ride horses. And one day I put a fence up and I blocked them off because they were going by my little barn and they were stealing things from me. Kids' bicycles and farm, tools and stuff like that. And so I put a fence up and I blocked everybody and I put a gate, a fence on one side and a gate on the other, and I blocked it off so they couldn't walk through there. And the law came and told me that I couldn't block everyone off. I had to let them go through because it had set a precedence of so many years that everybody was going in and out through there that by I can't remember what they called it, eminent domain or something like that, where I couldn't block it off. I had to allow everybody to go down through there. So then I just had to clean up after myself better and put things away and lock things up. So I couldn't stop people. So now they're blocking these ponds off, right, and saying no trespassing and stuff like that. I have a feeling if people wanted to fight that, I think they could, and they could turn that around because as long as I can remember, people have been going fishing there and taking their families and blankets and fishing poles and picnics, and I mean, I don't think they can block it off, and just because there's a scare of Bigfoots around. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure on that. Yes, right on, Adolf. I'm looking forward to it, man. I have a feeling we're gonna scare them aliens this time, man. They probably won't even show up, but if they do, it'll be interesting. Do I know what aluminum tags with numbers engraved nailed to trees near tree structures in Colorado? I'm not sure. Um, I'm not sure. Sometimes those are trail markers, um, or geo markers. So that you know where you're at. That it has numbers on it that you can go on a map and you can figure out where you are. But I'm not sure. Usually, if they're gonna cut the tree, they just paint a circle around it, blue paint or orange paint, and you can tell which ones they're going to cut. And I'm not sure what those things are. Does any of you guys know? That's interesting. It could be a marker. Could be a marker for that for Bigfoot. Have you ever ran across any of those, brown dwarf? You know what? That brown dwarf. When we started chasing this clan around here, there's like five of them, right? One's like 14 feet tall, and there's a white one in the clan, and then there's a retarded one. They say there's a retarded one. They were doing owl calls for a couple of hours. The first time we ever heard them doing owl calls, and we thought it was owls at first, okay? But then after a little while, owls don't circle you. Like two owls circling our camp for 2 hours, right? And then a third one was off a little ways, and it was moving too, but it wasn't circling our camp. It was just moving around out there. We recorded the owl because I never heard that owl call here before. And I wasn't even sure. It was the weirdest call I ever heard. And then it degraded, into monkeys. They turned into chimps later, and that's when we started realizing we weren't listening to owls. I mean, we kind of had a feeling because the owls sounded big, but at first it sounded just like owls. But we recorded it, and then I let one of my friends that works for the forestry hear. He's like a bird guy, and I let him hear the call, and he was telling me that that owl that they're calling, using that call, doesn't live around here. It lives more up where you are. In fact, where you're at is probably the southern range, and it would be rare to hear those there, even more into Washington and Oregon, but they do go south of the Oregon border a little ways, and I would think you're probably as far south as they go. And I can't remember what the name of it, a barred owl or something like that. I can't remember the name of it, but only how would they know to make that kind of an owl call if they hadn't heard that owl, right? So they would never hear that owl if they were only here all the time. So that means they do move, and it amazes me that they could go that many miles, right? Like 700 miles, something like that. That's crazy, you know. Yeah, owls don't circle you. Owls don't circle you. They make calls, but usually that's when they're hunting, and they use that echo location, almost like bats. You know what I mean? So they can fly in the pitch dark, but they won't fly around your camp, like around and around and around. I mean, I grew up in the mountains. I mean, I've heard owls all my life, and I used to lay and listen. Usually they have one spot, and they sit there, and then they'll go off and hunt, but they'll go back to their perch, and they'll sit there and do the calls. You know, they don't circle camps. That was the first time I ever experienced owls circling our camp, and it wasn't owls. It turned out to be it wasn't owls. Yeah, they do. You're right, Adolf. There's a lot of berries over there, and a lot of berries up and down the creeks, and the river, all up and down the river. That's why the Bigfoots are over there. They like berries. And I don't think that they hide in the oranges around here. And for the longest time, a couple of years, I thought they were after oranges. But then we were seeing them or getting reports and finding evidence of them in the oranges when there was no oranges on the trees. They'd been harvested, and like a couple of months ago, and there was little green hard ones on there, but there wasn't any ripe ones, and they're not eating the green hard ones. So I've come to realize that the oranges are evergreen. They don't lose their leaves, and they're thick, tall, thick trees. And if you're walking by an orange grove, you can't see past the first row. And if they wanted to, they could just step into a tree and be gone. So I realized that was why they were using the orange groves, was because they could hide really good, 24 hours a day too. Yeah, they're hiding in the oranges, and then I'm sure when the oranges become ripe, they eat them too. You know what I mean? Like they're. I think of the Sasquatch as a creature of opportunity. Like that's how come I think there's not many stories of people that come back saying they got attacked by one. I think they're smart and they're opportunistic. So like if they attack someone, they have that thing like no witnesses. You know, nobody comes back and accuses them because nobody saw it and nobody sees them again. And you can go and look at missing 411 and a whole bunch of other statistics showing that thousands of people go missing in Sasquatch areas every year. It's in the hundreds of thousands after a decade. Let's see. Do I know about 8-foot fences with barbed wire on top facing inward swamp area of Florida, various park areas? I haven't heard of that. I haven't heard of that, but only it sounds like they're trying to keep something in. And how high was the fence? 8 foot? That's a pretty high fence. Man, you're not kidding, Paul. There's probably been a bunch of sack lunches. A bunch. I think that my teacher got taken. He's in the first missing 411 book. Yeah, about in the middle. His name he escapes me now, but I couldn't believe it. I was reading the. We interviewed David Paulides, and I wanted to be able to ask good questions. And Jeffrey doesn't read books. He's more like Facebook, not book. And I read the books, the 411 books, and so that I could ask questions to David Paulides and be, know what I'm talking about. And I got in there, and there's my teacher, and not only was it my teacher, when I was at that age, when he was my teacher, I belonged to this. I don't know if you guys know what it is. It's called Civil Air Patrol, and see, I wanted to be a pilot, and I wanted to join the armed services and be a pilot. So I joined the Civil Air Patrol, and my idea was to get the rank of captain, and I was working my way up the rank too. And then when you graduate high school, you could go into the Air Force or the Naval Academy, and you can come out of their school as second lieutenant. So you kind of like avoid all the airmen and all the low jobs. You come out as an officer, and that's what I was doing. But only so I my teacher had a Cessna 310 with a dual engine. It was like a dual engine plane, and when people would crash up in the mountains or disappear, we would fly grid patterns over the area search and rescue in his plane. And he was a really smart guy. He knew about the mountains and everything. I went up there a lot of times with him. I hung out with him a lot because of our interest in flying. And he just disappeared 7 miles away from where I saw my first Bigfoot. 7 miles away. And in the same year. That blew me away. You know what you do when you set up your tent? Put a tarp over it, so they can't see through They can see through. They can see through the tent material, and so put a tarp over it so that they can't see through it. That one little extra layer keeps them from seeing through it. We did a big test on it because it was zapping one of our friends. He had a pacemaker, and they were doing the ultra low frequency stuff on him, and it was messing with his heart. And I don't know if I don't know if they figured out he had a weakness right there and they knew it, but they would wait till he got in his tent and then they would start nailing him. And he bought a bigger tent and he would move around inside the tent, different places. Didn't matter where he lay, they'd get him. And but only you could be laying right next to him and not get it. It was weird, like they could aim it straight at you. So we decided we would put a tarp over it. His tent leaked. So put a tarp over it to keep the leak out, and guess what? All that low frequency zapping they were doing to him stopped. So then they started zapping him when he was out of the tent. But when he was in the tent, they quit zapping him, and we figured that they probably, they can see in the infrared. They were zapping him because they could see through the tent and see where he was. At least, so now always put a tarp over the tent and you never have a problem with that. And they don't know where you're at in the tent or anything. So that keeps them at bay a little bit because when they don't, they're cautious, they're opportunistic, but they're also very, very cautious. So they're not going to go grab something if they think you're sitting there with a gun waiting for them, right? And they don't know if you are or not. Even though I keep a knife handy to cut my way out of the tent in case they do grab the tent and run off, I'm going to cut the tent and roll out. I'm not staying for lunch. I hear that's what I know. Dr. Johnson talks about that they try to heal you. I never had one try to heal me yet that I know of, and I have all kinds of ailments, man. It would be nice if they would, but so far they haven't. They slapped Jeffrey in the head. I mean, he was laying only like 3 feet from me, and we didn't have the cover over the tent, and his face was probably like 4 inches from the tent wall, and they walked by and smacked him right in the forehead with his knuckles, like pow, like that. And Jeffrey started screaming like a little girl at first. It was pretty funny. Yeah, Dr. Johnson's camping area. I'm kind of afraid of that a little bit. I mean, I know he's not, and I've personally talked to a few guys on the phone that got healed from that.
Yeah, it's good.
They got healed over there, and they won't come on the show. They won't let me interview them or anything like that, but they wanted to talk with me and tell me. I'm trying to remember the guy's name. It's in Southern Oregon, uh, where they do that, where and they say sleep outside the tent, right? Put your cot down and you sleep right in the open, right on your cot. I don't know. After what I've seen, I have a hard time sleeping in a tent, let alone putting my cot straight out. Even though I used to pull up with my pickup truck and we had these foam, and we would roll it out on the bed, and I would sleep right in the back of the pickup truck, open bed truck. And when I was younger, with when our family would go up, we would throw a tarp on the ground under some trees and then lay our sleeping bags out and then throw another tarp over the sleeping bags so they wouldn't get the dew and get you all wet. And we slept on the ground all the time, 2 weeks at a time, and never had anything happen. But only now that I've seen what they are and what they can do and their capabilities and read stories and stuff like that, I'm way more cautious, way more cautious. I bet, man. I need to go up there where you're at. I want to go up there and find, oh man, Darby O'Gill. and some of them little people. That's looks like where you're at. I mean, the woods look just like Darby O'Gill in the Little People movies, man. I love the look of the woods where you're at. It's beautiful. I can't wait to go up there. Yeah, isn't it funny they only talk to Doc Johnson though? They don't talk to nobody else. That's, I don't know, suspect to me. Even though I'm not calling him a liar or anything, I'm saying it's weird, And I'm not. I don't trust. Like they can tell us anything and we're supposed to believe it. That's what I'm saying. How do you test what they say to find out if they're telling the truth? I mean, it would be really hard for me until I figure out a way to test what what they're really about, because they could be like a Hillary. You know what I mean? Like tell you all this stuff they're gonna do for you, and as soon as you learn the truth, knock you off. You know what I mean? And I don't trust anybody hardly anymore. Like that. You know, it's just a trip. Yeah, Southern Oregon. That's where he's at, and according to him, they're inside the trees. So really, I don't have to go squatching anywhere. Wherever there's trees, then there's Bigfoot, like this big tree right next to my wall right here, a big 60-foot elm, big old giant tree. According to him, they live in that tree and that's how they eat. They don't eat deer or anything like that. They get inside the tree and they absorb what the tree is eating. Like, I don't know if I believe that either. Cool, man. Sounds good. Oh, really? Man, I went looking for that so many times. I have relatives in Southern Oregon that live all around over there. Klamath, Medford area, all Redmond. I mean, I got relatives all over the place up there, and they said they knew where that was, and we never got over to look at it though. I would have loved to do that. That is so cool, man. That's cool. Think it would really trap him? I think he's too smart to get in it, huh? Probably too smart to get in it. You'd have to put something really like yummy to get him to go in there. And Apple isn't gonna do it. Oh man. Yeah, I enjoy sharing Bigfoot. That's my main. Kids go party there. I wonder how many. We should check and see how many people disappear from there. See how many kids wander off to take a leak and don't come back. You know what I mean? I wonder if they even keep records of it. Because I know in Yosemite they won't tell you, and other places around here they won't tell you how many people are missing. They quit keeping records. That'll tell you something. Cool. Wow. Man, I'd like to get out there and check it out. My only problem is I can't hike up and down hills. Like you have to pretty much be able to drive to it, and that's what I like about Yosemite. They're all in the they're in the valley floor, all around the edges of the valley floor, and the trails. I mean, I could use even a power chair, but I'm actually looking at these electric bikes. I'm trying to work out a deal with somebody. Like maybe I can do uh, use it and show how handicapped people and people that have a hard time walking or older people can go anywhere on a trail on those little electric bikes, the little fat tire ones. I mean, you don't even have to go fast. You know what I mean? I could just actually sit on it and walk, but let the bike do the powering me up the hills and stuff like that. So and the batteries would last me forever because I wouldn't be jamming down the trail or nothing. I would just be walking with the group of people, talking with them and stuff. But I would use the bike to hold me and be my legs. And maybe they'll let me have a bike, and I can document how I use it and what I do with it, and they'll use it to help sell them to, because that's what they're really for. Is to me, they're for people that can't bike. Like I can't pedal a bike, so I mean, why else would they have it? You know, cool, man. I love that. But so that's one of my plans is working on getting one of those electric bikes. The e-bike is what they call them. Me and Adolf were at this show and they had some out there, and then we went back to get the information that they didn't have. They said they ran out of information, and then we told them we were coming back. When we came back, they were gone, and it was like, where'd they go? But only they were saying they were selling them for like, I think it was like as much as a Harley, And I was thinking, dang, if I was going to spend that kind of money, I would probably buy the Harley instead of the little e-bike. You know what I mean? Yeah, I grew up in Yosemite, so I know about Yosemite. I know the whole history of the Indians, and I actually know some of them. And there's actually a disinformation going on about the Native Americans there. They, I don't want to go too deep in it, but only it actually was Paiutes that were in Yosemite, even though they say it was the Miwok. It wasn't. It was the Paiutes, and they came from the Nevada side and spent their summers in Yosemite, and then got out of there and went back to Nevada. But they talk about the Sasquatch over there too, and the war they had with them, like 500 years ago. But it's the Paiutes that were in Yosemite. But if you go in Yosemite and you go into the museums and stuff like that, they say it's Miwoks, and it's not Miwok. I'm sure the Miwoks went in there. You know what I mean? Like, but I don't. I'm pretty sure the Paiutes are the ones that actually were develop everything there. Yeah. Yep. There's a lot of bears in Yosemite. A lot of bears. I learned everything I know about bears in Yosemite. But and then I even think like I've tracked Bigfoot prints that had bear tracks with it, and they seem like the same freshness. You know what I mean? It was almost like the bear was with the Bigfoot, because everywhere the Bigfoot went, the bear went. Or was it the Bigfoot following the bear? Or was it the bear following the Bigfoot? I kind of had a feeling they were together. You know what I mean? And when you're big as a Bigfoot, and you come across, like, say, a hunter kills the mom, and there's just a little baby bear there, a Bigfoot would be able to backhand a full grown bear, or kill it even with his bare hands. And it's probably way faster than a bear and stronger than a bear. So if they could have a bear as a pet. I've even found mountain lion prints the same way. And at first I thought the mountain lions were hunting the bears. I mean the Bigfoot. But I started realizing, I seen it on 3 or 4 occasions, and it was like, or I started coming to the conclusion that maybe they found a little cub or a little cat, and they raised it from a baby, and it became their pet. Same with coyotes and probably wolf and a lot of other animals, you know. I mean, you never know. They could be following him for food. Some of them could be, but I have a feeling they were their pets. A pet Bigfoot. Watch Harry and the Hendersons, man. That's about as close as I want to having a pet Bigfoot. Harry and the Hendersons, like, yeah. Get all mad and bury all your trophies in your hamburger and your next day's barbecue. Even though I think that's a bunch of bull. Even though Ron Moorhead, that's one of the guys I'm working on getting as a guest. I talked to him so many times, and I've interviewed him. Oh man, at least 5 times. Hung out with him. He is one cool cat, and so I'm gonna see if I can get Ron Moorhead on, and we're gonna talk about those kind of things. Like they took the site of ribs, and this is in the 70s, and the Bigfoot buried it. Like they didn't eat meat, so it was like, so is that the ones that the breed or whatever that Matthew Johnson hangs out with, or was it the other ones? The Klingons or Cratons or whatever he calls them, the ones that eat meat. Yeah, yeah. No, I mean I I I love that guy, and right now he's all into quantum mechanics, trying to explain some of the things that they do, and I think that he's right on the money on that. We don't understand everything about them. I think they do have abilities that go into the realm of quantum realm. You know, it would be the only way to explain some of the things that we've seen them do and heard of them doing. Yeah, like cloaking. The other one is how fast. Like we watch one run up this hill, and I mean it was a long ways. It was probably 300 yards to the side of the hill, and then it was almost straight up. And I mean, it would have took a regular human a couple of hours or more to go up that hill with not without climbing gear. And this thing went up like it was an elevator, like right up in seconds, and covered like several hundred yards in less than a minute. I mean, things don't add up sometimes when you're watching a Bigfoot. Like the first one I saw when he started running, it was almost like he wasn't even touching the ground. He did because I saw his tracks and followed him, but he was like floating, like have you ever seen a ninja run? You know how they try to glide, like it was kind of like that, like a glide, like a ninja. That's actually where I came up with the name Forest Ninja, is the way they move and the way they disappear so fast behind anything, that they can get behind. So, you know, so he's one of the guys. So hopefully we get him too. And I got a couple other ones. I'm not going to tell you who they are, because I don't know exactly what day or anything like that. They said they would, so, we haven't landed on any days or anything like that. Exactly. They're the master of nature, but they may be supernatural too. I'm sure that they're the apex predator of the woods. I am positive of that just by what I've seen. I mean, when you go into their domain, they are they are the apex predator, not you. You're not the you might think that you are with your big gun and all that stuff, but he's still going to outmaneuver you, outthink you, out everything in the woods. He's going to be he's at the advantage and you're at the disadvantage, and you might even wind up being a sack lunch. Yeah, pretty sure about that. Feels kind of weird not having a headphones and microphone and all that stuff. I bet you could hear a TV going in the other room and everything. Well, you guys, I'm on a lot longer than I thought I was going to be. I thought I was going to do 30 minutes, and I did a little over an hour. But I love you guys so much, and we're talking about a really good topic. I mean, I love this topic. Yeah, so are angels in a different dimension, and I believe in angels. So I believe there is those other dimensions, and I've done enough ufology. Like I've interviewed with Jeffrey. Me and Jeffrey's interviewed, man, in the around 100 uh, UFO sightings, and I don't know how you classify them. Like some of them are abduction, some of them the UFO was like 10 feet away and the window was open and looking at them. They could see the alien and the alien could see them. And that happened to this one lady on several occasions where she worked at a school. And all her people thought she was crazy until one day she was out there and she made some noise because it scared her, startled her. It was there, and then she turned around, and bam, there's this UFO like right above her, only 10 feet away, and she made a noise, and it alerted the other two guys, and they came out and saw it, and now they didn't think she was crazy, but it messed with all of them then. They all freaked out pretty bad. And then we went and set up shop out there. We put cameras up, security cameras, left them up for a while. Uh, there's been so many, and a lot of the things that the UFOs do goes into the realm of the same thing as the Bigfoots do, like disappearing in front of your eyes, and like there was these guys we interviewed that they were regularly seeing UFOs and they were getting video of them. But sometimes the video would not see the UFO, but their eyes would. But when they put the camera up, the camera couldn't see the UFO. But when they put the camera down, they could see the UFO. Okay, and then sometimes they couldn't see the UFO. They felt there was a UFO there, and when they put the camera up, they could see the UFO and they got a picture of it. But when they put the camera back down, their eyes couldn't see the UFO. So it was like kind of trippy. In fact, what's his name? Manny Amperano. He was telling me about that. He's the one that got burned. He was a policeman, and a UFO got really close and shot a beam at him through the windshield, and it burned him like a sunburn. Everywhere the light hit him through the windshield, it burned him. And then him and his wife had a son, okay? And his son turned out to be a rocket scientist. I mean, like, working for NASA, a rocket scientist. And that blew them away. Well, then his son's son, which would be Manny Amperano's grandson, when we were shooting a show for Nat Geo's Chasing UFOs, his grandson was out there hanging out with us. He brought his grandson, and his grandson was 9 years old and was enjoying that he was the smartest guy on the block right there. He was blowing people away, talking about quantum mechanics and stuff like that, and understood it all, right? and he was talking above everyone on purpose, and he was getting a big kick out of it. And but I was busy and I couldn't talk to him. And after about an hour, I was done with my part of the job. So then I went over there and I was really intrigued because I had been hearing the conversation. And I went over there and I put that kid in his place. Like he can't talk over me and quantum physics and stuff like that. And then a little bit later, his grandma, Manny Amperono's wife, she came over to me and she said that was the first time that anyone had ever put him in his place, like taught him that he wasn't the big know-it-all that he thought he was, right? And she thanked me, that I made him a kid again for a minute instead of some little genius, prodigy kid. And she told me that he did that to his teachers and everything. Like he was really a little spoiled, little smarty pants. But I set him straight. I was like him when I was a kid. Like I read every book in the library when I was in the second grade. I could read 1,280 words a minute. I mean, I'm one of them little prodigy guys, right? So I mean, he wasn't getting anywhere on me. As I get older, I'm losing most of it, though. Uh, I'm starting to turn into your average Joe, which is fine with me. It was fun while it lasted, but I still get to do stuff like I can still program computers and build them and fix them and mess around with all the geek stuff. I enjoy that. In fact, if any of you guys, wait, let's see, my FLIR doesn't pick up the orbs. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, like that means they're not giving off heat, right? The That means they're not giving off heat, and they may be in this other dimension, like partially in another dimension, like visible in your light in the light frequency for us, but not visible in the FLIR range. That's real interesting. That is really interesting. I can't wait to get a FLIR. Like that's another thing on my bucket list is getting a FLIR, but I want to get one that's pretty high, like a high def. I know they have them. I know they're really expensive, uh, and have recording capabilities because I believe that if you're gonna catch the Bigfoot, uh, you know, you're gonna catch them with one of those. You're not gonna catch them with infrared. We spent several years trying to catch them with infrared. They could see the infrared. I mean, we even had beams of infrared, like a spotlight that's infrared, and then have these really super security infrared cameras and shine it out there, and they get right out of range of the infrared. I mean, they were like really close to it. As soon as we turned it on, they moved way off out of range. And as soon as we turned it, I mean, as soon as we turned it on, they moved off. As soon as we turned it off, they moved back in again. So they knew. And then I even played around, like I pretended like I had it on. It was like going like that, and they didn't move out. So they knew they could. I knew they could see it then. Because as soon as I turned it on, they got quiet and they started moving away. You could hear them shuffling back. As soon as I turned it off, they come back in. So I knew they could see the infrared. But I know they can't see the FLIR. That's seeing a heat image, you know. That's why those little orbs, they weren't giving off any heat. That seems kind of weird that they wouldn't, but when you get into quantum mechanics, that is explainable. All that's explainable. It is infrared, uh, but only it doesn't. It uses light. It uses heat as light. Uh, you think of it as everything is. light, okay? And it's a frequency. And we like say the frequency is like that big of all light, okay? And we only see in the range of that this much, okay? Anything outside of that we can't see. The Sasquatch are seeing outside of that. They can see the IR light, infrared light, and we can't see that. We can kind of see the little bulbs glowing, but we can't see the actual light unless we use some kind of, a device that can see that light. When we were doing that same show, the Chasing UFOs, they brought the FLIR truck. And it was the first time that I got to handle a Scout. And it was before they even put them on the market, the little FLIR Scouts. And they had three of them, and each were, like one started around $3,000, I think the cheap one, which is now $1,300 now. But at the time, it was around 3,000, and the high end one was 13 or 14,000. But it was more high definition, and you can adjust it, like focus it and stuff like that, and it recorded onto a SD card. And so if you had a 64, I think a 64 gigabyte SD card, you could record quite a bit on it, and it was high definition, like real clear picture compared to the Scout, the $3,000 Scout. But I don't know what I think they're only like 13 or 1400 bucks now. But that was before the public had them, and we were sitting in this truck that it sent them up on poles, and these were used for law enforcement, immigration, and military. Not This wasn't civilian grade at all. Not for uh, regular people. And what we were trying to do, there was an actual UFO crash, and we were trying to locate exactly where it crashed on the ground. So they used these cameras, different frequency of light cameras, and we're focusing it on the ground and to see if they could find where this triangle crashed at. They found it. Okay. Soon as they found it, they sent all of us back to the hotel, which I kind of thought was sucky because they wouldn't even have known to look for it over there if it wasn't for us. So, I mean, so we didn't get to see what they did with it, and then they never showed it on the TV show either. So I don't know what happened with that, but I do know I got to sit in the truck with the guy, and we were he was telling me that this camera, like what you have, the little Scout, right? They had a big one on steroids, right? A big one, real high def, and he said he could frame like how you're looking at me on in the monitor right there, framed in there. He could frame somebody like that 20 miles away. 20 miles. That's the technology they have, right? And then I went flying in the police helicopter, and they had one mounted on the police helicopter. And we were looking in people's, like, we weren't looking randomly in people's windows or anything, but we got called, when we're up there, they got called to certain situations where the helicopter had to be called in. And from 5 miles away, we were looking through the window of the house. They had the address, and all they did was put the address in, and this camera would pick it up off the map and off the Google map and be looking at the house right in the window. There was a guy standing there with the door open, and they were trying to figure out if there was guns or not. And they had the whole block cordoned off and blocked all the streets and everything, but the helicopter was the one that gave the A-OK for everybody to move in, so no, there wouldn't be anybody harmed. Yeah, man, it is real interesting. I On my Facebook, I have pictures of that truck, and check it out. I think you could even look it up on YouTube. but it's actually the FLIR truck. You know, man, I spent all night in it, man. I had so much fun with those guys, and it used Google Earth and other kinds of cameras mounted, and they would move along, and they would use the map of Google Earth, and it would show how it's seeing across the ground. You know what I mean, in the distance and everything. I mean, it was off the hook, man. It was great. I always wanted to play in that thing. Like I told Jeffrey a bunch of times, man. I called that guy. I stayed in touch with him until he quit. He doesn't work for FLIR anymore. But I was trying to get that truck out here because if we could like drive up to a high peak and send that that camera up on that big pole and look in like some meadows or something like that, like Yosemite or over by Tahoe or up where you are, where we know there's a lot of Bigfoot activity, you could sit in that truck and turn that thing and you could scan the mountainside and you could get and record really nice pictures. I mean, the guy was telling me they have them where for the immigration they're on tripods and they cost like $450,000 at the time. I don't know how much they are now or what capabilities, but what we were using, they had the immigration department had them on tripods, and they were all battery operated, Wi-Fi, run off a cell tower thing, and they would go up to the top of a mountain along the border, right on the top of the mountain, and set it up, and they could sit in their office or in their car with a laptop, and they could operate this thing. And they were showing me some of the recordings of those that they would like help. They would show them to law enforcement, right? They would pull in and they want to sell something like that to, say, somebody in Colorado County Sheriff's Department or something, and they would show these videos of these guys using it, and man, awesome stuff, man. I'm doing pretty good, Jerry. How are you, man? I'm about to call it quits. I've been an hour and a half. Gotta get myself out of here and take a shower. I've been busy all day. The sun's going down and my camera's starting to look darker. But I need prayer still. I'm not out of the woods. I'm still having problems. But it isn't going to keep me from doing my show now. I mean, it's hard to do a show when you're dancing around in pain with a kidney stone. Uh, and then I actually caught one. I have this little funnel with a screen, and I actually caught two of them, really. But they're huge. And I thought about like getting the little jar and shaking it so you could hear it. But I thought, nah, TMI. Thank you, man. And so do you have mine. I pray for all you guys and your protection when you're out squatching. I pray for abundance. Like, I'll pray for you right now. In Jesus' name, I pray abundance on every person that hears this voice. Abundance in their finances, abundance in their health, abundance in their life, abundance in their relationship. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen. So that's the kind of prayers I pray. And just to give you an idea of how I pray for you guys, and that is my prayer every day for all of you. And I love you guys. I thank you. Um, wouldn't be nothing without you. I'd be sitting here talking to a camera. I probably still would do this even if there was nobody listening, but I enjoy it. I love you guys so much. I think you're all awesome. Um, I love the questions that you give me. You pick my brain, you stretch me. I like that. It keeps my brain working. And to that, I say, y'all have a very good rest of the weekend. I'll try. I'm gonna try and get on tomorrow night too. I want to play around with the thing and see the setup. and see if I can't figure out something and make it like regular. Um, so I'm gonna be. You might see me pop in and out tomorrow, maybe 2 or 3 times, while I try to arrange something and set it up to where I could take phone calls and stuff like that. I'm not sure if I could get it done. I have tons of doctor's appointments next week's, and my wife has some too. So I don't know, what I'll be doing. Maybe I can swing in the middle of the week. Not sure. But you guys have a really good rest of the night and tomorrow, and expect to see me popping in and out. And love you guys, and good night.